Hello everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery again, and today we're starting a brand new math lesson. This unit we're going into, I think is kind of fun because it's something we've been practicing all year, and you didn't even realize it was going to be a lesson, or a whole unit actually, which is pretty crazy. Um, so yeah, make sure that you have your Robot and Turtle book. If this is your first time watching, the Robot and Turtle book is what I call our SAVVAS workbook because there's a robot and turtle on it. And the page we need to be on is page 285. So 2 in the 100s place, we need an 8 in the tens place, and a 5 in the ones place. All right, so make sure you go ahead, open up your, excuse me, make sure you go ahead, open up your workbooks to this page. If you do not have it open yet, pause the video, hit the space bar, don't watch anymore until your page is open and ready to go. All right, but if you're still watching and you have not paused the video, I'm going to think we're ready to roll. So let me just back this up a little bit. There we go, cool. All right, so let's read and find out what exactly they want us to do. But after we do this, I'm actually going to test you guys, push you a little bit further, do some really cool stuff. Let's find out what they want first. Alex put counters in some 10 frames. So we see some 10 frames over here on this table in the picture. It says, how can you find out how many counters there are without counting each one? So instead of us going 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to take forever. We don't want to waste our time counting all these red little circle counters one at a time. We would go bananas. We don't want that. But there is a quicker way to do this, and I'm going to show you guys how. Actually, I'm going to show you two different ways, okay? Two different ways. Okay, so first thing I like to do is make sure I number, well, you can number them along with me, each one of these counters. Okay? So there's 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? So we have 10 frames. You can also think of these 10 frames. Well, if you're in my classroom, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can think of these 10 frames like bundles, okay? We have the tens bundles that we use every day for math calendar. If you're not in my classroom and you found this video, well, just so you know, we use straws to count our days of school. And every time we have a set of 10, I wrap a rubber band around them and we make that a set of 10 and we call it a bundle, okay? So we're going to pretend that these 10 frames are our bundles, okay? And if I were to ask you how many or what big number is one set of 10, well, we could say that we have 10. And actually, let me zoom in just a smidge so we can see this nice and clear. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we would say we have 10. What if we had 2 10 frames? What big number would it make? Well, it would make 20. Now, my little trick for knowing these that I've used my entire life is, you guys ready for this? What I do is I will look at how many 10s and just put a 0 at the end. Okay, so we have 1 10, so we write a 1 and then put a 0 after it. It gives us 10. For 2 10 frames, right, I write the 2 and we have a 0 at the end again. That's all I really ever do. And to me, it is a super quick, easy way to find out the big total. So if we had 3 sets of 10, what big number would it make? 30, right? Because all I had to do was take that 3, bring it on down, and put a 0 at the end. That's it. Okay, try the number 4 and 5. All right, so hopefully you're able to write them down super quick. If not, you can just pause the video. So for 4 sets of 10, bring that 4 down, add a 0 after it. We have 40. Same for 5 sets of 10, same thing. Write the 5, put a 0 after it. We have 50. Now, if you really would like to know another way to do this, there is another way we can do this. You can even use a 100s chart if you like using a 100s chart. Those are there to help you at all times. So another way we can look at this is if you see a set of 10 and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I need to know how much it would be if we added another set of 10 to it. Well, don't even worry about it, because check this. If you look, there is a pattern. And if you guys remember, if I don't know what your teacher covered in science so far, but in my class, we covered patterns a whole bunch of times with lights, with sounds, with the seasons, right? A pattern is something that kind of happens over and over, and you can figure out what's going to happen next. So if you look closely at the 10s, you see it gets bigger by 1 each time. So 10, right? You have one more set of 10, it gets 1 more bigger in the 10s house, so it goes to 20. And then after that, it gets 1 more bigger in the 10s house again and goes to 30. And it keeps growing by 1 each time in the 10s house. So now go ahead and do number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. What big numbers would that many 10 frames make? Because we already did 1 through 5. But now we need to do 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 frames. Or we call them 10 bundles. Go ahead and write down the big numbers real quick. All right. So if you need more time, hit that space bar, pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to think that you have done this already, and we're going to keep on moving. So if we have 6 10s, well, bring that 6 down, put a 0, we have 60. I'll probably run down here from now on. So 7 10s will give us 70. 8 10s will give us 80. 9 10s, 90. And probably the trickiest one is 10 10s. If you use that trick I taught you before, you're going to bring this whole number down, right? 10, and we add a 0 at the end. So it becomes 100. Now, it becomes 100 because if we have 10 10s, that is too many bundles to fit in our 10s house. So if I have a 10s house over here, right? If I have, I'm going to make a little chart, okay? If we have hundreds, H is hundreds, T means 10s, and then O, that means ones. Now, if we have 10 ones, we know that's too big, and we have to put this whole set of 10 over here, and it gives us 110, right? It's the same deal for if we have too many 10s. If we have 10 sets of 10, that's too big, because we would have a total of 100. You can't have 100 in the 10s, right? So it has to move on over to the 100s, and we would have 1 set of 100. Okay? So that's something we're going to work on as we keep going. So if it seems a little confusing now, don't worry about it too much. We're going to be practicing this. So don't worry. So now we can answer this question. How many counters in all? Well, he has 100. 100 counters in all. But now I want to challenge you guys a little bit, because I think that'd be really cool to do. You can use everything we already wrote over here, okay, on that table. in your own workbook. So let me get a different marker here. Okay, so what would you say if I said we have the number 10, right? I need you to tell me how many tens are in the number 10. Would you be able to know how, or be able to tell me how many tens are in the number 10? Well, if you need a little help, you can always look at the chart that we'd made, right? We made a huge, nice chart over here to help us out. Or you can do the opposite of what we did before. So before, we brought that number down for that 110 frame, right? And we added a 0 at the end because we know that we would have 10 red dots. So right here, we're going to do the opposite. If we look at the tens house, right, where that 1 is, that's our tens house. That tells us how many sets of 10 there are. So there are 1 set of 10. That's it. And you could do that with any bigger number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write down a few of those. And I want you to tell me how many sets of 10 there are. Okay, so now that I wrote down some examples, so you're going to do exactly what I just showed you for these top two. How many 10s are in the number 40 and how many 10s are in the number 60. And then at the bottom here, I kind of flipped it on you. I want you to write down what big number 8 10s make and 3 10s, okay? And you can use any space you have available on your paper, okay? Or if you have a communicator or a little whiteboard, you can use that too. So go ahead and try all these out really quick. Okay, if you're not done, hit that space bar, okay? Hit that space bar for me on your keyboard, and then I'll pause the video. And then when you're all set, go ahead and hit the space bar again and resume the video, and it'll pick up right where you left off, which is always awesome. And if you're watching right now and you didn't, and it's not paused anymore, I'm gonna think you're ready to go. So let's go ahead and roll on out to our next page, which is page 286. So we actually, oh, silly me. I totally forgot to go over these. Ha! I'm a goofball. All right, real quick. 40 equals how many tens? Well, I look at the tens house. Boom, there's a 4. It's 4 tens. How about 60? Well, I look at the tens house, right? Boom, there's the 6. It's 6 tens. And down here for these two, we do the opposite, right? We have 8 tens. Remember, we take that number, write it, and we add a 0 at the end. We have 80. Right? Easy enough. And how about 3 tens? What big number does it make? Well, we take this number, gonna write it down and add a 0 after it. Boom, we get 30. It's that simple, guys. There's no crazy tricks. No one's trying to trick you. There are just simple little loopholes that we can always do to make things easier for ourselves. All right, let's turn our page to 286. All right, so for page 286, they kind of help you out a lot on this page. A lot. And they kind of did the same thing that we already did. They tell you for 110 what number it makes, all the way up to number 50. They even show you how to write that. They even show you how to write that number as a word. So 10 is TEN, and here's 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay. So let's jump down to number 1 and see exactly what they did. All right, I know they kind of did it for you already, so we're just going to race right through it. They're telling us that there are 4 tens, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can trace that 4. And how much does 4 tens make? Well, you can count by tens if you like to. 10, 20, 30, 40. or we can use our little trick where we take that number, we write it, and we just add a 0 after it. And then underneath, they want you to write the word 40, which they have right up here at the top of the page. And they tell you actually all of them all the way up to 120. So go ahead and trace that word 40. For me, it's a little difficult because I'm using a mouse pad. You have a pencil and paper, which is way easier. All right, and it'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now what I would like for you to do is the same idea. For number 2, right? Write down how many sets of 10s there are. Write down the big number and then the number word, okay? All right, if you're still working on this, pause the video real quick, okay? I know that was a really quick break, but pause the video, hit the space bar if you're still working on it. No need to rush. Go at your own pace. But if you're still watching, I'm going to assume that you are all done, you did the work, and you're ready to go over this to see how we did. Okay, so first they're asking how many 10s? Well, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 10s. And then what big number does it make? Well, I'm going to bring that 3 on over. Add a 0 at the end, it makes 30. Or you can count by 10s if you like, 10, 20, 30. And then they want us to write the word 30, which you can find right there. So THIRTY. There we go, 30. Boom. All right, now let's turn the page to page 287. Okay, guys, it's the same idea here. All right, try number 3 on your own. I want you to write down how many sets of 10s there are. So how many 10 frames? Or you could think how many bundles are there? Write down that number. Then write down the big number that it makes over here. Excuse me, over here on the second line. And then write down the word of how to write down that number, which was on the page we were just on at the top of the page. Hint, hint, hint. Okay? So go ahead, hit the space bar, do the problem, and then when you're all set to go, hit the space bar again to play the video. Okay, so if the video is still playing, I'm guessing you are all done, and you just want to check your work, right? Of course we want to check our work. Why not? So let's find out how many 10s we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have 7 10s. And what big number does that make? Well, you could use any method you want to figure this out. You can count by 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, and keep going. Or you can use my little easy peasy trick where you take this number, bring it on over, put a 0 at the end, because you're going to put that number in the tens house, right? You have 7 10s, put a 7 in the tens house, put a 0 in the ones, you have 70. And then how do we spell the word 70? Well, it's SEVVENTY. 70. All right. Now, I want you to stop here, okay? Don't do anything else. Now, if you're not in my classroom, talk to your teacher. See what she wants you to do next. If she wants you to do number 4 and 5 completely independent and hand it in at the end of class, that's up to her. But for my friends in my classroom, my friends, what I want you to do now is make sure you stop what you're doing. You're going to go ahead on over to our Google Classroom, click on classwork, and at the very, maybe at the top, there might be something else around it, but you'll see an option that says 7-1 quick check. 7-1. Okay, there are 3 questions on there. I want you to please answer those 3 questions. As soon as you are done, you may go ahead on to Pink Cat Games and practice some other math skills. Okay, any game you would like on Pink Cat, go ahead and practice it. And that's it. So I'll talk to you all later. I hope you all have a great day. See ya.